And in a direct relation to the video clip we just watched, I want to welcome Shaked Daniel Murad, a member of the Young Diplomats IL group. Shaked is a high school student and, as I said, a member of the Young Diplomats IL group in Ashdod. Hi, Shaked, how are you? Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you? Where do you study? What do you do these days at home when there's no school at all?
I'm 18 years old. I became 18 2 months ago. I'm from Ashdod.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. I'm from Ashdod. I'm learning in Mekif Tet. I'm now in the process of get into the army of Israel. And nowadays I'm home like the rest of us in Israel during quarantine.
Of course. Well, let's start with the Young Diplomats IL group. What have you done during this Memorial Day and Independence Day?
We did 2 acts. The one act was that we volunteered during the quarantine for families that lost their dears in one of the wars. If it's a father, a brother, a son, we gave them a soul candle and a letter from the city of Ashdod to appreciate the loss that they lost.
They suffered, of course.
Yes, and you can really feel the values that the one they lost, what they got in the home, why the people get into the army. You don't feel sadness in the home. You feel community and commitment feelings.
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to understand, to explain to our viewers that the military cemeteries were actually closed during Memorial Day, and there were no services going. The regular services were not done in Memorial Day, so the families of the fallen had actually had to stay at home.
Yes.
Have you visited them on Memorial Day itself or prior to Memorial Day?
We visited them prior to Memorial Day. It was letters that the city have given us.
So you took on the task on behalf of the municipality of the city itself to be in touch with these families, with the families of the fallen soldiers,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Have you visited one of these families or more than one family?
Yes, we visit approximately 5 or 7 families. Each one of them has a different story. Each one of them have a different welcome. One even gave us bracelets as a thank you, and it was very, very emotional.
So usually we're welcomed warmly by the families, I assume.
Yes.
How do you describe the experience of being in a home like this and learning the story? I imagine that you were curious about each and every soldier.
Yes, it was a journey. It wasn't just a delivery or a thing that you do in a regular day. It's people. It's not just work or something like that. It's more deep than that. The people lost someone that they care of. Yes, it's amazing people, amazing stories. You can see the values. You can see the education that they grown up on.
Is there any specific story that you remember, any specific soldier that perhaps you connected more to his story or to the family?
There was one, I don't know the whole story, and we not allowed we didn't got the names or details, but it was the son of 2 old parents, and he fell on combat. We got to chat a little bit. It was me and another volunteer from Young Diplomats. and the both of the parents, you imagine they will be sad and destroyed and would not keep on with their lives after they lost a son. But you can see the joy and the welcome and the expect they appreciate the lives that the son gives.
Wow. And have you participated in any of the ceremonies that were done in Ashdod or elsewhere? Okay.
Yes, was the second volunteer act that we did. It was something like 50 to 60 points that were spread in the city. Each point were...
You mean 60 of about 60 different locations throughout the city itself?
Yes, it was like a miniature ceremonies that each of them was for a couple of buildings, and that's how the whole city of Ashdod participate the whole ceremony, and we don't lose the value of the day.
Right. So did you locate in a central location with a PA system, and people just went out to the porches and participated this way?
Yes, with flags and everything.
What reactions did you get from the people, from the population?
There was a lot more participant than I thought that will be. A lot of people got out to the porches and waved the flags. They couldn't go down because of the quarantine, but they were really glad and enjoyed that the city actually did it during the quarantine and don't gave it up.
Yeah, because as individuals, we do care a lot about Memorial Day, and usually we go to the ceremonies and feel some kind of unity in the state of Israel. But now we don't have that, so it's very nice to hear that in the city of Ashdod they found a way to do it. Was it, by the way, on the Memorial Day evening or on the day itself?
It was on the Memorial Day evening.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about yourself. So you are on your senior year, right? Last year on high school?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so maybe tell us a little bit, how are you already preparing for your IDF service?
Yes, I'm actually in the process of getting into the air combat unit, into the pilot unit.
So basically you want to be an Air Force pilot, right?
It wasn't always my dream, but it's definitely a possibility. I kind of rolled into the duty. But we have now a gibush that it's 5 days of training, logical groups, exercises, and all kind of mental challenges that they get you through to see if you right for the unit, and we will see if it goes well.
So basically, for how long does it go? 3 days? 4 days?
5 days.
5 days! Oh boy! So for 5 days you volunteer to suffer in order to only to be recruited into the course, and only in order to start, right?
Exactly, 3 years process.
Wow. 3 years is the course itself, is in order to become an Air Force pilot in the Israeli Air Force, right?
3 years to get the title.
Wow, that's a lot of time. and then you stay in the army for more, right? For
8 years.
Another amount of time. Yeah. Well, have you seen the video clip that the IDF prepared for Israel's Independence Day?
Yes,
what we've just seen. Well, what do you think about it? About the secret of the IDF?
It's an amazing clip. I think that it's a must for raising the morale in the people, and and all the families, because people are used to get out and get loose in the streets and have fun, but now it can't be happening because of the quarantine. I believe that it's a very smart thing from and caring thing from the army to do, and it's just show how powerful and good country we are, how positive the minds are, and how caring we are, not only for the security, and it's not that just war and army and what it represent. It's stereotypes. It's also to post one video that will get a smile on a kid's face.
Right. And we have to explain our viewers that the IDF has always taken challenges that are not only on security, not only with regards to security, educational challenges and others have been for decades taken by the IDF. Now I have a trickier question for you. I'd say, if you don't mind, that you represent the current, as a representative of the current generation, of the current youth, which has grown up on smartphones and tablets, etc. By the way, we say it about every generation, but so now it's your turn to answer. Do you think that young Israelis today are perhaps more self-centered and maybe less willing to really devote their mandatory service to the security of Israel? Are you seeing a young individual saying, you know what, maybe I'll do other things, maybe going to be a combat soldier or a pilot or in the naval commando, in the SEALs? Maybe I can do it, but perhaps it's better for me to do something else.
I believe that it's not a yes or no answer. It's more complex than that. I believe that the majority of youth in Israel is do commitment to mandatory and combat missions and service, but it's all a matter of education. I grew up in a family that represent values of giving and fighting and give yourself to the country, because if you will not do it, there is no other country that will do it for you. We are in constant threat, and there is nothing you can do except fight on what's yours and stand on your ground. This is from my side, but I believe that there is a decrease in the numbers of people that want to get into the combat units. I think it's mostly because people think the threat is down and we are a powerful country, but what makes us powerful is that people commitment and go to combat units, and if it will stop now, it all will go down and will be.
So I mean that perhaps people today feel that Israel is not under a major threat anymore.
Yes,
so it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to go and be in combat units, etc.
Yes, I believe that it's a part of the reason. I believe that. I also believe that it's a question of education. If a man grew up in a family that promotes these values, he will go to combat units. If not, he's not.
Yeah, well, I'll share a story with you that happened actually a couple of days ago. And one of the kids asked me, why are there so many ceremonies nowadays? Because we had the Holocaust Memorial Day, and now this week we had the Memorial Day and then Independence Day. Why is it all packed together? And I asked the kid, do you know why Memorial Day is just before Independence Day? And he said no, which was unfortunate because I thought that they learned it in school, but they didn't. So I explained that we have to remember the people, or we have our own independence, we have our independent country, and our democracy, but it didn't come cheap, because someone had to pay for it. Someone had to pay a price, and the price is the price of the soldier's life, of people that of the fallen people who fell in order to allow us to have this democracy. So yes, I agree with you that it is a matter of education, and it is a matter of how you grow up, in what family you grow up, and what kind of fruits do you have. But it is interesting what you're saying about the existence of Israel as a very strong country. Well, any other things you want to share with us today about your activities?
I would like to expand on the program that that brought me here. It's young diplomats. It's currently exists in Ashdod. It giving us tools to present Israel and defend these values, and in general we can explain in more expand matter on the Israeli-Palestinian conflicts. And I just have to give the credit because it is amazing program, and I believe that it needs to grow to a larger scale.
Certainly. Well, Shaked, Daniel Morad, a member of Young Diplomats IL Group, and perhaps a future Air Force pilot in the IDF. I'm sure we'll talk before you actually recruit, but until then, make sure you protect yourself and your family, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Okay.